Hello friends, and welcome back to my little cozy corner of the internet. If you are new here, hello, my name is Harmony and I mostly talk about books. I have quite the haul today and I'm so excited. This is probably my favorite book haul ever. I have a ton of fantasy, a little bit of thriller, a little bit of romance, and I'm just so excited. If I sound stuffy, it's because I was just crying from an episode of Criminal Minds, so just ignore that. If you've been here before, you know that I typically don't read the synopsis of books before I buy them, so I'm not familiar with a lot of these, but I will try my best. So anytime I try to explain what I think it's about, please just know that that's from like my understanding. I'm just gonna hop right in because I have so many books and I don't want to waste any time. So, book number 1, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is my friend Faith's favorite book. She loves it and it got her back into reading as an adult. So I'm very excited to dig into it. I'm only 14 pages in. It's not totally sucking me in yet, but I'm excited to get a little bit more into it. Now mind you, when I first saw this, I thought it was literally a guide for a girl on how to commit that crime. I was incorrect. It is about a girl in high school named Pip who has to do a senior project, and she decides to do her project on a murder case in her hometown of a girl named Andy who was supposedly murdered by her boyfriend, but Pip believes that that is not the case. So her project is going to be on the case, and of course, digging into this case and everything, she kind of puts herself in danger because the real killer is catching on that she's discovering the truth. So I'm pretty excited. I love thrillers and I'm excited to dig into this one a little bit more. Next book is one of my most anticipated reads because everybody's reading it, everybody's obsessed with it, and one of my favorite artists that I've talked about on here before, Coralie, she just did a really beautiful piece of the couple from this book, and this is one that I literally don't even know what it's about, and it is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, and look how beautiful this book is. As you can see, there's this little weird mark on it. That's because I tried to take off the Barnes & Noble sticker and messed it up. So, that's fine. If I love this book, I'm just gonna buy the hardcover set. It has a beautiful map on the inside, which I always appreciate, especially in fantasy books. Evangeline Fox has always believed in true love and happy endings until she learns that the love of her life will marry another. Desperate to stop the wedding, Evangeline strikes a deal with the charismatic immortal Prince of Hearts, but she soon discovers that bargaining with the Prince of Hearts is a dangerous game. He has plans for Evangeline, plans that will either end in the greatest happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. That sounds so fun! I'm so excited! I want to read this one sometime this year, so hopefully I'll get to it soon. But this kind of reminds me of Rumpelstiltskin vibes, so I'm really excited. Does she fall for the Prince of Hearts? The next book is one that I learned about quite a while ago and added it to my list because it is a fae story, but it's not like the faes that we're all obsessed with, aka the Bat Boys. So I'm really excited because while I do love my Bat Boys, of course, and all of those kind of fae stories, this one is a little more traditional with the fae being evil. So I'm really excited, and that is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is another one that I didn't really know what it was about. Theodora, the main character, also known as Dora, was cursed by the fae to only have half a soul. So she doesn't believe that she can really fall in love or that anybody can fall in love with her, and because she only has half a soul, she doesn't feel embarrassment or fear, which sounds really good on the surface, but you can't really learn lessons if you don't feel those things, I don't think. So she meets a guy and I think they start to fall in love because the end of the synopsis says the longer Doris spends with him, the more she begins to suspect that one may indeed fall in love even with only half a soul. So it just sounds very whimsical and charming, so I'm really curious to see how this one plays out. The next one is a romance that was gifted to me by my friend Monica. If you see the camera wiggling all over, it's because my dogs are walking around it. But the next one was a romance gifted to me by my friend Monica. Thank you so much, and I'm really excited to read this romance called The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. It sounds so funny. I don't know if it's even gonna be a funny book, but I'm assuming it is. So we have our main characters, Olive and Ethan, and Olive's sister is getting married and she hates the best man, Ethan. They hate each other, they don't get along. On the night of the wedding, the whole wedding gets food poisoning, everybody's sick, and of course Olive and Ethan are the only ones who manage to avoid it, but there's a honeymoon hanging in the balance. this whole trip paid for. We can't just let it sit. So Ethan and Olive put their hatred aside to go on this trip together, and as you can imagine, during their 10-day stay, they kind of start to fall for each other. So it's a very classic enemies to lovers story, and I'm so excited to dig into it because that is one of my favorite tropes ever. The next one is a duology that I already have the collector's editions of these books, but I wanted the regular ones too. And I only have one of the books with me right now because my husband is reading the first one, and that is Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo? I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. I'm really excited to get into this because I'm obsessed with Cas Brecker in the show Shadow and Bone, and I'm just, I haven't read Shadow and Bone books yet, and I think you're technically supposed to read those ones first, but I want to read these ones. I was kind of disappointed when I ordered this because it has a stupid Netflix thingy on here and it's not a removable sticker. Why do companies keep doing this? None of us want that. So I of course found alternate dust jackets online and I ordered them, and I'm so excited because it's by an amazing artist that I follow on Instagram. I'll put her handle here. The dust jackets are beautiful and I cannot wait. The next book was gifted to me by my friend Megan over at the Ginger Hobbit on Instagram. I love her so dearly. She's so sweet. She's so cute. She has a beautiful feed on Instagram. If you're on there, you should follow her. But she gifted this to me randomly like a week ago, and I'm so grateful. She's so sweet, and she said that this was a really, really sweet read, so I'm really looking forward to it. And that is A Far Wilder Magic by Allison Saft. So cute. Isn't it so cute? I don't know much about this one, but from my understanding, there's the main character Margaret, and she finds this mystical creature, and if you manage to kill this magical beast, you're supposed to receive not only riches and fame, but also unlock a magical secret. Then there is our male main character, and his name is Weston, and he's becoming an alchemist. He gets an apprenticeship where he and Margaret meet, and they decide to hunt the beast together. And I think this is supposed to be kind of a fantasy romance kind of a trope. I'm not totally sure, like I said, but it sounds really sweet and also really adventurous. So I'm really excited to dig into this one because I've literally seen nothing but positive things about this one from everybody that I follow on social media. So I'm really excited to read this one, hopefully soon. And thank you so much, Megan, for this. I'm so happy. The next book is one that I have never heard or seen anybody talk about this. So I picked this one up the other day because Cinderella is one of my favorite princesses. So this is Love, A Twisted Tale by Elizabeth Lim, and this is supposed to be a spin-off of course, Cinderella's story, and it says, what if Cinderella never tried on the glass slipper? In this story, Cinderella is unable to prove that the glass slipper is hers, so she ends up being an apprentice at the palace to do seamstress work, I believe it is, and while she's doing that, she overhears some conversations about others wanting to overthrow the kingdom and take it for themselves and all of this stuff, so she kind of has to take out the bad guys herself. It sounds very adventurous, but also really magical, and the 2015 version of Cinderella is one of my favorite, most comforting movies of all time, and I love it so much. So I'm really excited to read this one, and I hope it ends up being a beautiful story and not just tragedy, but we'll see. The next book is probably my most anticipated read on this entire list, aside from one other one that I'll talk about next. I'm so excited to read this book, you guys. I don't know why. This was a cover buy initially, and then I saw one of my friends talk about how amazing it was and how it's like one of the best books she's ever read. She's obsessed with it now, so I cannot wait to read this, and that is The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. Look at this cover. Are you kidding me? Oh, it's beautiful. And foxgloves are one of my favorite flowers, so I'm obsessed already. So this follows our main character, Lore, and she is a poison runner for the cartel, so kind of doing some like shady undercover stuff. Eventually she is captured by the king, and the king, I believe, hires her because some people in the kingdom are dying suspiciously, so she has to uncover what's going on, and the king believes that it is his heir that is killing people off. I think that this is kind of an enemies to lover thing, but I'm not quite sure. There's apparently a huge twist, and I am so excited to read this book. I'm hoping I can get it in this spring or early summer because it gives me those kind of vibes, but I feel like it would also be great in the fall, but I'm too impatient for that. The next one is my most anticipated read on this entire list. It is a nonfiction book, and I know that a lot of people won't be interested in this, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. And that is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. I absolutely adore C.S. Lewis. He is one of my biggest heroes in life. He is just a wealth of wisdom, and this is one of his most popular books. He really digs into the roots of Christianity and answers a lot of hard questions. I've seen so many quotes from this book, and they have been so incredibly powerful, and I just can't wait to dig into this. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Rejecting the boundaries that divide Christianity's many denominations, Lewis provides an unequaled opportunity for believers and non-believers alike to hear a powerful, rational case for the Christian faith. I love C.S. Lewis. Next is a very popular one that I will read the synopsis on because it's so short, and that is The Shadow Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. I don't know if I said that right. My bad. My lovers all feel the need to give me nice things, very expensive things. It's been a fun game, learning their secrets, seducing them, getting them to shower me with gifts. But honestly, I'm bored with it. I have a new game in mind. I'm going to woo the king. I suspect it won't be longer than a month before he's helplessly in love with me, and when he proposes, I will say yes for the first time. For once the marriage is official and consummated, I will kill the Shadow King and take his kingdom for myself. Tell me why my husband read this at the store and said you should get this one. But this just sounds really cool. I don't know. It just sounded really entertaining to me. It sounds fun and adventurous and maybe a romance. I don't know. My mom just texted me to let me know that the store has mangoes and then sent me a picture of them. So the next book I actually already read and I loved it so much. I'll be talking about it in my recent reads video that I'll hopefully be posting in the next week or two. We'll see. And that is Sunlight Girl by K.L. Cottrell. And this is not a like super popular book, like you won't find this at the stores. This is literally on Amazon for like $5. I think maybe even less than that. Thank you, Monica, for sending this to me. She's friends with the author, but I loved this book. It is not a lighthearted romance. It is about a girl, Emerson, and a boy, Spencer. Spencer just went through a really horrible tragedy where his girlfriend committed suicide. He and his family moved to a different state, and that's where he meets Emerson, and she is very different. She's very kind, very sweet. It very much is like a she's not like other girls kind of a trope, and at first it kind of annoyed me, but over time you really start to fall for her character as well. It's a beautiful romance, but it's not lighthearted. There's a lot of trauma, there's physical and emotional abuse, there's bullying, there's abandonment, like everything. So if you want a heavy romance that'll kind of like clench your heart a little bit, I would really recommend this. And again, I will be talking about this more in a future video. The next book is another one by Hannah Whitten, and that is her book For the Wolf. It sounded insane, and I've heard amazing reviews about it. As the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose: to be sacrificed to the wolf in the wilder wood in the hope he'll return the world's captured gods. She's almost relieved to go, plagued by a dangerous power she can't control. She knows that at least in the wilder wood she can't hurt those she loves again. But the legends lie. The wolf is a man, not a monster. Her magic is a calling, not a curse, and if she doesn't learn how to use it, the monsters the gods have become will swallow the wilder wood and her world whole. It sounds really intense and beautiful. I love that like both of her books that I have now have these serrated edges. I love a little extra. Next on the list is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This was sent to me by my friend Kate. Thank you so much, Kate. I will tag her channel down below. She is a total sweetie and I'm obsessed with her. She had mentioned this in I think one of her stories or something like that on Instagram, and I was like, this is on my list, and then she just immediately like sent it to me. So sweet. It's a rom-com in book form, which is one of my favorites. The main character is Liz and her neighbor is Wes Bennett. From the time they were kids, he's been a pain in the butt to her, but then later on, I'm assuming it's probably when they're in high school, I'm not quite sure, Liz's ultimate crush, Michael, comes back to town and he is annoyingly getting along really, really well with Wes. She kind of becomes friends with Wes to kind of get her way to Michael, but as you can guess, she kind of starts to fall for Wes in the process. So again, enemies to lovers is one of my favorite tropes, so I'm really excited to dig into this and laugh a lot. The next book, I have absolutely no idea what this is about, I'm not gonna lie, and that is Stolen Heir by Holly Black. No idea. Literally no idea. I read the synopsis and I was really confused. A runaway queen, a reluctant prince, and a quest that may destroy them both. I don't know. If you've read this or know anything about it, let me know if you liked it. I still haven't read any of Holly Black's books yet. I plan on reading The Cruel Prince very soon. The next book was another one that was kind of confusing to explain, but I might save this one for autumn time because this is a dark academia book, and that is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I have seen a lot of division over this book. Some people absolutely hate it, some people absolutely loved it. So I guess we'll kind of see what happens. But there's a group of friends and they are all Shakespearean actors. And part of the synopsis says Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off. Hero, villain, tyrant, temptress. I don't know how to say this word. Ingenue? You know what? Ingenue. That was way off. That's so embarrassing. It basically just says that after 10 years of being in jail, Oliver is released and is determined to share the truth. So I'm not really sure what this is all about. The fourth years find themselves facing their very own tragedy and their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police, each other, and themselves that they are innocent. So sounds like a thriller. Again, was a little kind of like, wait, what? When I was reading the synopsis, but it sounds interesting enough that I picked it up. The next one is a book that I found on Amazon randomly and decided to buy it at Barnes & Noble when I saw it the next day, because why not? That is The Queen's Assassin by Melissa de la Cruz. Do I know the synopsis on it? Nope. Two characters, Kaladin Holt, I don't know if that's how you say it, but he's the kingdom's deadliest weapon. Shadow of the Honeyglade has been training all her life to join the guild, and there is a surprise attack that brings Shadow and Cal together, and they're forced to team up as assassin and apprentice. Even though Shadow's life belongs to the court and Cal's belong to the queen, they cannot deny their attraction to each other, but now with the war on the horizon and true love at risk, Shadow and Cal will uncover a shocking web of lies that will change their paths forever. Adventure, fantasy, romance. Sign me up. Next book I found on Bookstagram and decided I had to get it, and that is Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. Our main character, Tessa, lives in a kingdom where people are dying like crazy from this disease, but the moonflower elixir, which is the cure to this disease, is reserved for the wealthy. And so she spends her time sneaking out and getting the cure for the people that she loves and for the people who need it. In the palace, Prince Korik serves as the king's justice, meting out vicious punishments to agitators and outlaws. When an act of unspeakable cruelty brings Tessa and Korik face to face, the outlaw and the royal are confronted with an impossible choice and a surprising spark. Will they follow their instincts to destroy each other, or will they save the kingdom together and let the spark ignite? I love that synopsis. It sounds so cute. The next book is one that my husband picked up for me at Barnes & Noble because the cover is absolutely stunning. The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. And I will be taking the sticker off. Hunt or be hunted, the forest awaits. Winnie Wednesday wants nothing more than to join the Luminaries, which is an ancient order that protects Winnie's town and the rest of humanity from the monsters and nightmares that rise in the forest of Hemlock Falls every night. In order to survive, Winnie enlists the help of the one person who can train her, Jay Friday, resident bad boy and Winnie's ex-best friend. While Jay might be the most promising new hunter in Hemlock Falls, he also seems to know more about the nightmares of the forest than he should. Together, he and Winnie will discover a danger lurking in the forest that no one in Hemlock Falls is prepared for. Not all monsters can be slain, and not all nightmares are confined to the dark. So this just sounds really thrilling and dangerous and fun and adventurous and kind of intense. This usually isn't the kind of book that I would pick up because it has kind of like witchy pagan vibes, which isn't my thing, but this did sound really adventurous, and I think it's more of a good triumphing over evil kind of a story, but I'm not sure. Again, kind of a cover buy because look how beautiful it is. So hopefully I'll dig into this one maybe this fall. I'm not quite sure, but regardless, it's going to look beautiful sitting on my bookshelf. Next one is a nonfiction book that I picked up called The Herbal Handbook. I picked this up at Five Below. It has recipes, tinctures, teas, balms, and more. I love that it actually has really beautiful photos of the plants. I will pretty much pick up books like this anytime I see them. I have so many already, but you can never like not benefit from these, you know what I mean? Next one was recommended on Instagram, so I got it. That is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. It is apparently a really beautiful story. Again, I don't know really much about this. Vasilissa, I think is how you say it, and her siblings love to gather by the fire to listen to their nurse's fairy tales. As the village's defense is weakened and evil from the forest creeps nearer, Vasilissa must call upon dangerous gifts she has concealed to protect her family from a threat sprung to life from her nurse's most frightening tales. This is a bit more of a folklore story, which I've never read before, so that should be really interesting. But I do like the whole concept of it being more of like a wintry read, so I don't know if I'll read it now or wait till this winter. We're in Minnesota. We still have snow outside. So, and it's April. Okay, unfortunate news. My camera decided to overheat and stop working. So, phone quality, I apologize. So the next book is one that I'm so excited about, and that is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth, and this just sounds so good. Pippa and her husband Gabe have this beautiful cliff home where Gabe has saved several lives because unfortunately it is a place where people go to often commit suicide, so he's stopped so many people from jumping until he doesn't. When Pippa discovers Gabe knew the victim, the question spiraled. Did the victim jump? Was she pushed? And would Gabe, the love of Pippa's life, her soulmate, lie? As the perfect facade of their marriage begins to crack, the deepest and darkest secrets begin to unravel, because sometimes the most convincing lies are the ones we tell ourselves. This sounds so good. I have really high expectations. I haven't heard anything about it. I'm very much so looking forward to reading this one, definitely. I'm sorry if I'm not looking here and I'm looking there, because I can't help but like look at what I'm doing. Next one is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. This sounded really like creepy sinister, so there are writers who have been trying for a long time to get their work published, specifically our main character whose name is Alex. And so Alex gets an invite to the writing retreat. The retreat is being held at the estate of Rosa Vallo or Valle. I'm not quite sure which one it is. I'm assuming it's Valle. Things start to get a little sketch when Rosa's erratic behavior starts to come up. There are weird mind games happening. Apparently this mansion is haunted. It starts to get really sinister. So as it starts to get a little more sketchy, suddenly one of the writers disappears. And so Alex, I guess, just takes it upon herself to solve where this writer went and what happened. It kind of gave me strong hunting party vibes, which I hated. This sounded a little more interesting, and hopefully the characters aren't as hateable as they were in the hunting party. Next book is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. If you've been here for a while, you know that I read her book at the beginning of the year called All the Dangerous Things, and it was so good. It was so good. So I'm really excited to read another one of her books. This one follows our main character, Chloe, and her father was arrested and convicted, I believe, for a murder way back in the day when she was younger. So then years later, girls start to go missing, and she's kind of having like flashbacks to things that her father had done. So then she kind of starts questioning things. Similar to Stacey's other book, this main character's kind of questioning like, okay, are things connected, or am I crazy? Like, am I making this stuff up? And it's kind of like a mental thriller, which I absolutely love. So now she's just asking herself, am I about to unmask another killer like I did with my father? This just sounds really intense, and this was one of the Book of the Year finalists, I believe, so I'm assuming that it's really good. Hopefully I'll be reading this one sometime soon, because I just loved her writing so much, but we shall see. So close to being done. Okay, so the next one is Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I am not super excited about this one. I didn't realize until after I got it that this is likely going to have a lot of social commentary about gender stuff. I read books for escapism and to have a good time. So when social issues get brought up in books, it annoys me because then I feel like I'm being yanked back to reality, and I don't want that. This is a romantic comedy. It follows our main character, Sally, and her friend, Danny, who's kind of like in the dorkier category, dates this beautiful supermodel actress or something like that. And so Sally writes a play kind of making fun of his situation and about how that might happen to guys, but it never happens to women. Like, us women who are a little bit more dorky and nerdy never get like that super sexy guy. She writes that play kind of making fun of him. Well then, lo and behold, a very popular, I don't remember if he's an actor or model, but regardless, he's known for dating like supermodels. And then he and Sally kind of start to talk, and there might be sparks. And so she's questioning like, are these real sparks, or is this just like an actor kind of a thing? It sounds really fun and romantic. I'm just hoping that there's not a whole ton of seriousness and poke at social issues, because like I said, I want to read this for a fun time. Next book is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This is just like the perfect dark academia book from what I understand. The Maidens is a secret society at this school, and this secret society kind of praises this professor who's like a known killer. So I'm not too sure how that works out. But one of the members, I think she either goes missing or she's found murdered, something like that. So Mariana, I believe is her name, is our main character. And so she's studying this group, and I think she takes it upon herself to solve the mystery, what this group is all about, and who this professor really is and what he's actually done. This is very spooky sounding and very dark academia-ish, like I said, so this will likely be a fall read for me, but I'm definitely looking forward to it as I've seen this everywhere. Next one is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarraf by Shannon Chakraborty. I'm not really sure, but initially this was a cover buy for Book of the Month, also because I knew that it was going to be a pirate book, and I love pirate stories. I was absolutely obsessed with the Pirates of the Caribbean when it first came out. Like literally my best friend Taylor and I bought a bunch of books about pirates and like studied the history and like went totally nerd status. So I love pirate stories. I think they're super fun. So this story follows Amina Al-Sarrafi. After her like crazy life as a pirate, she's ready to just settle down, have a life of peace and motherhood, and just, you know, live a good life. Then she's tracked down by the obscenely wealthy mother of a former crewman and offered a job no bandit could refuse. So she has to dive back into this life, but then the stakes are much higher than anything she's had before. I'm gonna try to keep it out of the light because it looks way prettier. So yeah, basically a book of adventure in a pirate's life. I'm really curious to see because I guess there are also like some supernatural stories in this one as well. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out. I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I totally think that there's like stuff like that in the sea that we don't know about. So I'm really curious to see how it's played out in this one. Okay, last book, and that is Wayward by Amelia Hart. Look how beautiful this book is. Look at it. Look at it. It's stunning, and I love it so much. This book is basically about female resiliency, and this is going to follow 3 different stories, one in 2019, one in 1619, and one in 1942. All 3 have a very different story, and all 3 have gone through some tragedy, some trauma, and some really intense stuff. I'm really excited to read it just because I love stories of overcoming and starting anew, getting stronger, and things like that. So I'm curious to see if there's going to be a common theme throughout each story aside from just resilience. One of them I know has an abusive husband, another one grew up during the witch trials, another one has drama with her family, so it just sounded really intriguing. And like I said, I love books about growth and resilience, so I'm really curious to see how this one is going to play out in the end. And that is it. That is all the books that I have to share with you guys. If you've read any of these books, please let me know. Please let me know if you loved them, if you didn't love them, some things I should like be aware of. I don't know. Either way, I'm excited to dig into most of these, and if you've watched this far in the video, please leave some kind of like plant emoji down in the comments, like a flower or a leaf or whatever. We need some spring vibes because like I said, it's April and there's like 5 feet of snow outside. This is not okay. So anyway, again, I apologize for the drop in quality because I had to use my phone. My camera's been really weird and like overheating and just shutting off, so that's fine. Thank you so much for being here. I love you so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!